So Donald Trump, not in these exact words, but basically admitted this week that a lot of the things that he's been doing, a lot of the policies, a lot of the executive orders that he's been signing off on was all made with the intention of getting black people back into the field. It was made with the intention of getting black people back into the field. All right, so on Tuesday, Donald Trump made an appearance, right, on CNBC's Squawk Box. And on that platform, he actually made a lot of commentary in regards to the situation with the deportations, migrant workers, the state of America's agriculture, and he made comments on inner city people not doing farm work. I want you to always remember that when they mention inner city, that means black. In Donald Trump's exact words, people that live in the inner city are not doing that work. They've tried. We've tried. Everybody tried. They don't do it. These people do it naturally. They don't get a bad back because if they get a bad back, they die. He also went on to say that they are very, very, very special people and they cannot be easily replaced. Remember what I said, anytime that they mention the words inner city people, inner city communities, inner city neighborhoods, that's black. That's code for black. Blackity black, okay? Black people. And it is because of that exact commentary that it reconfirms for me, okay? Not confirms, but reconfirms, meaning that I already knew. But it reconfirms that the plan from the very beginning with these executive orders, right, was to further destabilize black communities, further destabilize poor communities, but black mainly, so that you could put pressure on these communities so that you could get them to go back into the field, right? And then once you get them back in the field, bingo, you've made America great again. Modernized slavery. But black people said, fuck you and this little game that you want to play. Since we are the most valuable player on the scoreboard, we will remove ourselves and let's see if this game is still going to continue. And that's in fact what we're seeing right now. Donald Trump thought that by forcing all of these other people out, taking away our Medicaid, doing all of these things to further destabilize our community, that we would conform, that we would just do what he wants us to do, what the whites of this world, what white supremacy wants us to do. But black people decided to pull a Uno reverse and they did nothing, which is something that they're not used to black people doing. They're used to black people having this spirit of rebellion, having this spirit of revolution. But instead, black people decided that, you know what, I'm going to preserve my energy for me and my people, but I'm also going to remove myself from this game entirely. And now everything is starting to crumble. The way that the America agriculture is taking a huge hit right now because of Donald Trump and his deportations. Like, I don't think that you understand how much America survives off of the labor of undocumented workers. And when I say y'all, I mean all the other races. Black people knew because black people were telling you. They told you, don't do this. Don't do this because we're not going back in the field. Don't do this, but y'all didn't listen. And just to put into retrospect of how important undocumented migrant workers are to the agriculture economy here in America, the U.S. Department of Agriculture reports that roughly 42% of crop workers are undocumented, with nearly 70% being foreign-born. This labor is essential in states like California and Texas, where up to 80% of farm workers lack legal status. Donald Trump signed off on a lot of these executive orders back in January. It is now August, and in between that time, he has done a parade of chaotic shit, trying to put pressure on the black community, but the black community has refused to fold. They have not folded. And it's not just the black community, but the legal Hispanic community here, the legal Latinos here, the Browns, and every other race that sees what this administration has been trying to do from the very beginning. They have not folded. And because of that, everything that he has signed off on in January is starting to bite him in the ass in August. And to all of you people out there that had so much to say in regards to the black community and the 92% and them actually deciding to stand down and not participate, to not get involved, to protect their peace, all of the critiques that you had on their decision, let this be your example. Let this be your primary example as to why you should stay the fuck out of black people business. Stay the fuck out of black people business. You had so much to say in regards to our decision and wanting to stand the fuck back and deciding to remove ourselves from this entire game altogether, right? Now you see that black people actually knew what the fuck they were doing. They knew what the fuck they were doing. They told you were going to need these people because they weren't doing it anymore. They told you they wasn't going to do it anymore. You still got rid of them people. You still got rid of the migrants. You still did and went through with the mass deportations, and now you guys want food. But you thought that the black people was going to get into the field. No, they wasn't going to do it. They wasn't going to do it. They wasn't going to do it. And now you see why they decided from the very beginning, oh, I see how this is going to play out. Exit stage left.
JD Vance is constantly on vacation because they want him to rest up for the task that is ahead of him. He is the protege of Peter Thiel. He is the poster child for the Heritage Foundation. He has been groomed. He has been hand-selected for one job and one job only, and that is to bring it all down, I'm afraid. Or at least some of us think, that aren't fundamentalist Christian crazy asses. But he's on vacation all the time because, this is my theory, when World War II happened, the British royal family actually sent the two princesses, their Royal Highnesses, Princess Elizabeth and Princess Margaret, to, I believe, Windsor for, most of the conflict that was going on in England, in order to keep them safe, because they knew that the Germans would want to bomb, and they successfully did, Buckingham Palace, and they wanted the girls to be safe. I believe that when things get really bad, when he is president, because that's what will happen, I guarantee you. I don't even think Trump is aware of that. I think he's too ignorant and oblivious to what's going on around him. I think he's just too wrapped up in his own self to realize that he's been used. And, that's why I'm just trying to redirect my anger. I mean, he is a moron, and he does wreak havoc. He's a fucking idiot, don't get me wrong. But it's the people behind the scenes, it's the puppet masters that are the ones that they're doing the real harm. There will come a time, and that time will come soon, where Trump is either impeached or something will happen. It's a slippery slope right now. I guarantee you something will happen. And in the instance that it does, JD Vance will become our next president. But what I was mentioning earlier about them sending the princesses over to Windsor, while, in the heat of the conflict, I believe that they will end up either putting his wife and children in a bunker, because it will get that bad. Believe you me, it will get that bad. They will put his wife and children in a bunker, and he wants to spend as much time with them. That was probably a part of the deal that he made with the powers that be within the Heritage Foundation and Peter Thiel, that he wanted to spend as much time with his family and children as he possibly could before the time comes, and the time will come. I have made a video before talking about, when I look into his eyes, he is just void of something, and I think it's a soul. And I'm not even, that's not even satirical. There's something wrong with him. Something changed. Like, you can look at his photos from like the early to mid 2000s, when he was an adult, and then you look at them, it's like something was just, I don't know. Depending on what you believe, I have a really complicated, relationship with my faith, and with spirituality, but I am a man of faith, and I am spiritual, and I believe that he might be our Antichrist, if I'm being completely honest. It says biblically, not that I believe everything that's said in the Bible, but it says biblically that it will be someone who you wouldn't expect, someone who you, might miss in a crowd, that will quickly rise to power almost inexplicably, and that will be the end all be all. So yeah, that's why he's on vacation all the time.
Donald Trump has backtracked, and he has essentially admitted that we need immigrants here in the United States of America. Okay, so in a press conference, this man says, y'all, racism is so expensive. This man says, basically that farmers are suffering because they don't have workers, and people in the inner city are not going to take those jobs. And we know how to dissect what he said. Essentially what he's saying is, they marketed their campaign as, oh, we're taking back our jobs, and they thought the legal people of color. were going to go take those jobs. He essentially said the black and brown people in the inner city are not going to take those farm jobs. No. And those undocumented immigrants who are working those jobs, that was their only option to make money in this country. You know, they left, some of them left dangerous countries. They wanted better lives for their children, better education. They just wanted a better life overall. And so they took what they could. And those jobs were modern day slavery, okay? Those people were freaking working 7 days a week, 10-hour days for like $10 an hour in the hot sun, picking fruit. Like, and you thought like those people aren't doing that because they think that that's a good pay. And you thought, you know, people who are legal citizens were gonna go do that. You could make more money at McDonald's or fast food. I would join the military before I did that, like, to be honest. And what I've peeped about these businesses that used to employ undocumented workers, like farmers, some construction companies, other small businesses, they can't even afford to pay more than what they were paying. Y'all can't even afford to pay really a livable wage, a wage that, you know, somebody who is a citizen would accept for the type of work that you're asking for, but you voted against your own interest. Like, I hope that, you know, all of these undocumented immigrants who are going to make their way back, I hope they realize you have power. And right now, the power is in your hands. And don't go back for them pennies, okay? You have a lot of leverage right now. You have a lot of leverage right now. And y'all, like I said, being racist is so expensive.
Hey guys, it's Leash. Listen, your president, not mine, has decided that he is going to reverse this whole deportation situation and is suggesting that people come back to America to work these farms and everything. Not saying sorry, not acknowledging that what he did was probably one of the most horrific things you could do to people and families, children, you know, tearing families apart or anything. No, he is basically saying that, you know, the farmers here need help. And so they're going to educate them, get them legally sent back to this country to do the work that he thought the folks in the inner city would have been able to do. Clearly, if you read between those lines, he thought that black people were going to get out in these fields and do the work that the folks that he deported would have done. And to that I say, sir, you are so detached from the people that it is pathetic at this point. How in the hell did you think that black people were going to get in the fields and do that work? Like, is anyone like consulting with you? I'm being so serious, y'all, because it's like, sir, most black people are established in some way, which speaks to the lack of understanding and knowledge and whatever else you want to say as it relates to black people and understanding the progression of black people in this country. Not everybody's waiting for some handout and, oh yeah, I'll go work those fields. Like, you're smoking something, sir. And it's not good. It's not good.
The people who regret the vote and people saying that we should welcome them, I'm going to put my last word on it. If watching people get torn apart from their families, if losing their loved ones, if not seeing their communities in pain and distress and struggle, both financially, spiritually, mentally, physically, watching the cost come to our veterans yet again, those who have served this country, is not enough for them to not do this again. What do you think your little hugs are going to do for them?
Many bloggers were telling you guys that Donald Trump has a plan to return to slavery, the black slavery. And actually he was trying to force the black, the Hispanic, or the people of color, the colored people, to go work back in what? In the farm. Because tell me, what was his or the plan from the beginning regarding the migrant workers or the American farmland, because the programs, the shift, the plans that this government has been putting in place, or they have been thinking about all along, was it one way or another was affecting who? The black or that American farmer. How many farms are actually closing down? How many farmlands they have lost their crops? No, their unharvested crops, they are rotting in the field. No, we have all heard all the speakers speak about this manner that Donald Trump was forcing the black Americans to work in the field. The other day, he came with a very ridiculous plan of actually forcing the Medicaid beneficiaries to work in those migrant fields. And he admitted, because I don't think he has ever come with the greatest idea that's benefiting this. He has always been working with threats, with chest, but without up the year, without decisions that are coming up from here. The grocery prices have been rising. Reason? The migrant farmers, or the farmers whose crops are actually rotting in the field, are not being picked. Those hotels in Los Angeles, those restaurants in California, they have no employee because this working economy was forced out of the country. Now he's thinking of bringing them in legally. And he's saying he will facilitate. As bloggers, we knew that this thing, it will be a doomed project. Because tell me, what was he thinking? What was his plan for these farmers, for these business people? Until now, it's too late. That when he decides, he says very well, the people from the interstate, they are not actually, they don't want to work. I don't know if he means those white South African farmers that actually he imported back, or what was he telling about? Because I think the original idea of bringing these white settlers or white South Afrikaners was to actually have them work in those fields, because they had the expertise. It's funny how we say that these people, they work for hours, they don't break backs. Yeah, they work for hours, they don't break backs. Tell me, what do you think about the whole idea of bringing back these migrant workers? How are the Republicans? How are those people who actually are feeling that these aliens, they don't belong to this group? These aliens, they don't belong to this country. How are you guys feeling? What is happening? What is in your minds now when you're actually losing what you guys thought of? You have watched the videos. Tell me your comments. What do you think about all what these speakers are actually saying?